Hi, I'm in Canvas, and you can see I have the Week 5 Painted Mirror module right here, and I'm going to click on this asset zip, and then you can see over to my right that I clicked this zip file and it downloaded to my screen right here, so I'm going to open up the folder. Inside is a Student Mirror PSD. You're going to open it and immediately save as and add your name, and then you're going to begin working on it like I'm going to do right now. So I have the file opened right now, and I'm going to actually close this one because I was testing something. And now I have the file open, and it over, if you look to the right, there are two layers, and I'll save as in a minute. Okay, there are two folders. One says, and I'm clicking on it, the Student Mirror folder right there. I'm going to make the icons bigger in a second, but I want you to see that right below it is a Brian Mirror. Now watch how I turn off the Brian Mirror folder. You're going to use exactly the same layers that I have used in the Brian Mirror folder, which I have put up here, except they're empty, in the Student Mirror folder. So I have a left highlight, you have a left highlight. I have a left dark red, you have a left dark red, all the way down to the black layer, which I have right here. Okay, so what we're going to do is, and what you're going to do is use the Brian Mirror folder as your guide along with this tutorial. Okay, so if you want to see how I did something, watch this. Turn off all the layers that are inside there. All right, I know it might be small to read, so I'm going to right now go to the panel options and make it bigger, except I'm going to have to scroll up and down, that's all. So do you see down here how I've turned on only the black layer? And I'll zoom in a little bit right there. Let me get rid of swatches. And you can see that I have a fill, which I'll turn on and off as a black layer. Okay, now all you have to do is do that exact thing. Okay, now I actually Gaussian blurred it a little bit, which I'm going to show you immediately how to do. Okay, so the very first thing you want to do is, of course, turn off my layer and click up to your black layer. So you click to the image. Now you use this example up here, this little reference. See this little reference right there? You use that as your guide. Okay, so let's do the black first. And I'm going to show you how to, and let me go back down to mine. I'm going to show you how, and I want to get close, so I'm going to move the layer palette over again. Look at how I have blurred it by 3 or 4 pixels all the way around, but then I cleaned up this edge with a layer mask. Now I'll show you how to do that, okay? And I'm going to go through every key click that you need to actually work on, that you need to execute. So double check yourself every time on what layer you are. Okay, so I turn off my black layer. Good. I go to your black layer and pretend I'm you. So now I have to go and do the lower black. You see the path over here that says lower black mirror? And if you want to check exactly what the path is, turn on the clicky copy. Now I'm turning it off and on so you can see exactly what I've done. Now the reason I went from this point right here that I'm clicking to this point right here is because the black is underneath the red. So the red will cover up this whole section right there. So I'm going to turn off the clicky copy. Now let's go over and Command or Control click on this path to turn it into a selection. Let's hit the B key, hold Alt or Option and sample the black just like that. Okay, now I'm going to go Option Delete, or you're going to go Alt Backspace to fill it with black. Now you check and you see, did you fill your black layer? Answer, yes, you did. So there it is right there, but except it doesn't have a blur on it. So I have to deselect, is what I want you to do. Go up to Filter, Blur, and Gaussian blur it by 3 or 4 pixels, not 43 pixels, Mr. Sorio. So let's go up to about 3 or 4 pixels, even more. I was wrong. Let's go up to, oh, that was 0.4. Yeah, no, I was right. Now let's go up to about 3.5 pixels, okay? Because I want you to see over here where I'm actually highlighting right there that I want you to, I'm going to go to the move tool, that I want you to see how soft it is in the reference up here, and that's why I blurred it, okay? We could even blur it a little bit more to get that, whoops, that's too much. So keep it about 3.5, 3.6 pixels, okay? That's absolutely perfect, all right? Now, click OK. Okay, now, I'm going to, again, turn off your black layer, and I'm going to go to mine. Now, again, I'm going to remind you, look at how I tightened up and got rid of the Gaussian blur, but only in this area right here. Let's do the same thing to yours. So this is the technique you're going to use for the whole thing. So there's yours, and you can see how blurry it is right over here. So I make a selection again by Command or Control clicking on that right there, which is the lower black below mirror path, right? I go to inverse. So now I'm painting on the outside. Now I want you to do this all the time. What do I mean by that? I want you to hit Command or Control H to hide the selection so you can see what it is you're doing. But it doesn't deselect it, right? So now I click to the layer mask because I'm going to use black. Remember, black eliminates, right? And my flow is at about 15. I'll put it even down to 10. My right hand click is on 0 hardness pretty much through most of all this assignment. So I hit the return key. Now watch how I paint black on the layer mask, and are you watching how it tightened up that edge? Now look over here on the mask. See that little bit of black right there? That eliminated the Gaussian blur. And that's what I want you to do. So I'm going to eliminate it right there, and that's perfect. Now I save the file. In other words, I'm not going to save it. I'm going to save as, and I'm going to add my name to the file. So let's go to Brian Meir. I'll take student away because that's my example file. And let's go Brian S. Meir. Okay, that's what I want you to do. Now, every time you do something good, save it. Okay, let's go do the red fill now. So we look down here. I can turn off I'm pretending I'm the student, so I turn off my black fill and I just turn on the red fill on the professor's folder. Oh, it's just a big red shape. Well, let's keep the black on. Let's click up to my red mirror layer. Okay, I'll turn off this one so you can see it. It's off, right? Now, question, am I selected on the mirror layer? Yes. Now I have to actually find the red mirror path. So I'm given the overall path for everything, including the red and the black, right? There it is right there. And now I have the below black shape. That's not going to help. Oh, I have the red mirror. But look, the red mirror is bigger. And let me turn on the clicky copy. I want you to see this. Look at how I was accurate. I'm hitting the P key so I can click on this path just once. You don't have to. I'm just showing you. You see how the path is accurate all the way from here to about right here? So from here to here, it's accurate. But I went way high up above it. Why would I do that? Well, the answer is because the entire mirror already is that path. So all we have to do is intersect this one with this one. Or you could do this one with this one. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to make a Command or Control click on this one right there, the whole mirror. You don't have to do this, but I'm just going to click the red mirror so you can see that I want the in-between part. Well, what is that? That's Command Option Shift or Control Alt Shift, and there's a little X inside that box, and you click it. Now, do you see how I isolated the mirror part? And you might ask, well, why didn't you just do that in the first place, Brian? Because I want you to experiment with it, okay? Now, in order for me not to have to do that again, I'm going to save the selection, which will save it in channels. Now, I'm going to call this red mirror and I'll just go underscore demo just so I know it's the actual one. Now look, I'm clicking OK, and down at the bottom here is my new channel. Now if you click on a channel, remember everything over here in the layer palette will turn red, telling you, hey, you're working on a channel, not a layer, mister. So in order to get it back, in order to not have the red over here, just click to the image part of the layer. That's it. Just click to the image part of the layer. Now, I am going to make a selection of that one, which I already had done. I'm going to hit the B key for brush, hold Alt or Option and sample the red. Now I'm going to turn off the clicky copy. Question, am I on the red mirror layer that I want to be on? Answer yes. Okay, Option Delete or Alt Backspace. Now we have the basic shape of the mirror. Do you see it? It's got a red upper and a black lower. Let's solve the red first and then we'll go to the black part. Okay, we're almost done actually. Okay, now I want to see what Brian did. So I'm going to turn off mine. See, I just turned off mine, and I'm going to go turn on the layers that Brian had. So here is his red mirror. Above it is called horizontal pink. Okay, let's do that one. It's just a bunch of pink above that shiny horizon. Then it's white. Oh, well, that's easy. A little bit of white, a little bit of pink, and I'm done. So let's go do mine. Let's go do my whole thing. So let's turn off Brian's mirror. Okay, good. Let's turn on my whole folder. Okay. Let's click to the horizon pink and make sure we're on the layer. Now over here, look what I have. I have a red mirror upper. Do you see it right there? It's right there. See it? Now again, do you see how it goes above the mirror? So all you have to do is intersect it with the entire mirror. It's that simple. So you Command or Control click on that to turn it into a selection, meaning the red mirror upper number 1. Then you Command Option Shift or Control Alt Shift and click it so you have isolated that upper area. You see what I did? Now what should I do? I should go to Select and save selection as upper horizon underscore demo, so I know it's my demo today. And where is it going to reside? Well, it's at the bottom again. Okay. Now, I'm not going to deselect it, but I am going to hit Command or Control H. Now, let me zoom in a little bit so I can get both of them on my screen. Now, I hit the B key. What's that stand for? Brush, right? I hold Alt or Option, and look what I'm doing. I'm sampling the pink. Now, listen to my words. First, I'm going to hit Command or Control H to hide the selection. I'm going to make sure I'm painting between 8 and 10 on the flow. Between 8 and 10 on the flow. Not 100 and not 2. Okay, 8 and 10. Right-hand click and make sure you're all the way soft again. Good. Hit the return key. Now I'm going to show you where that horizon is. So do you see how I'm just painting where that selection is? Now, did I need to see where the selection is? No. But if I wanted to, I could hit Command or Control H to just see where it is and turn it off really fast. Do you see if I put it on? Do you see how you can hardly tell if I put any pink on there? But if you turn it off, meaning if you hide it, that's what Command H is, or Control H, you can really see the impact. Now, all I have to do is take this size brush. Don't go with a smaller brush. Don't go with a smaller brush. Now, let me make the brush a little bit bigger even, and just bring a little bit across the top. Look at how I'm moving my way from right to left. Look at how pretty that is. Look at how nice that looks. That looks gorgeous. Okay, now let's get a little bit more. I'll make the brush tiny bit smaller. I'm painting in the same color so I can stay on the layer. Now, do you see how only a little bit of the brush, just a tiny portion of that brush is above the horizon? Do you see how I'm getting that little shine spot right there? I'm done. I'm done with the horizon pink. Now, I don't have to go see Mr. Sorial's white shine, I know it's right here, and I can use the same selection. I don't even have to turn it off. So I hit the B key, which I'm already in, and I grab the white right there. Do you see how I did that? Now let's go with a somewhat, I'm not going to go with much smaller of a brush, just a couple little clicks on the bracket tool. And look, just go really slow. You don't have to paint fast. Painting is not a fast item. Do you see how I'm able to do this really beautiful? Now I'm going to make a mistake on purpose. I'm going to go up really high right there and say, oh, darn it all. Okay, but I'm going to use the layer mask to fix that. Now look what I'm doing over here on the right. Look what I'm doing. I'll make the brush even bigger and give it a little bit of a feather. Look at how only a little bit of that circle is above the horizon. So let me go like this and just kind of grab it like this. Let's just come across it just a little bit like that. So I see that little light shine right over there. Okay, now let's fix what we did. How do we fix it? Well, I don't even have a layer mask for this. So if you have to add a layer mask to fix something, go ahead. Okay, so I'm going to deselect. I'm going to click a layer mask button right now, and I'm going to let you see a mistake. Do you see how it's all black around it? That was wrong. Okay, so I Control Z or Command Z back. I have to remind myself that I have Command H on or Control H on. Then I hit Control D or Command D to deselect. Now, Brian, now you can add a layer mask if you want, and it's white. It's perfect. Now, what color on a layer mask eliminates stuff? Yes, it's black. So watch how I can take this brush and paint out. I'm not erasing the white. I'm using black on the layer mask to let me get visually rid of that. Now, do you see how nice that looks? Now let's back off and say, well, you know, that doesn't look too bad. I'm not trying to get perfect here. How about we add a little bit more white where this is, right here? Okay, just a little bit more. So I click to the image part of the layer, right? Now I have to make the selection back. Well, isn't it nice that I actually saved it down here on upper horizon? I can Control click it again, so I don't have to intersect it twice. Now I'm going to hit what to hide it? Yes, Command or Control H. Make sure I'm painting in white, which I am, and I'm going to hit this just a little bit harder, just right there, just nice and slow. You don't have to paint fast, and don't use too small of a paintbrush. Look at how I'm barely touching the brush over that line. In fact, most of the brush is below it, right? Okay, let's save it again. Now we'll even put in this cute little dot, but let's go now see what Brian did on his. So let's turn off this one, which is the one I'm painting on. Let's turn on now all the layers. But first let me just turn on, I'm not going to turn on the black stuff yet. I'm only going to turn on the red. Look here. There is the pink. There is the white. There is, oh, there's a dark right there around the edge. Oh, and then there's a little shine spot that I actually have room for right there. Oh, that's actually, you see this little shiny stuff right over here? Look, I'm going to turn it off and on. Do you see that right there? I'm going to show you how to do that really simply. It's really fun, okay? Like that would be hard to paint with a look at that. That would be hard to paint if you were just freehanding it, but there's a technique to paint it. Now let's first go do this dark. So let me make sure what layer it's on. Oh, it's left dark red. Okay, I can turn off Brian's now. Let's go up and turn on my folder. Click to left dark red. Oh, now what do I need as a selection? Well, isn't it nice that I actually have the Red Mirror demo channel? Because I saved it before. You remember? You saved it too. So let's Command or Control click on the channel. And if you make a mistake and click there, don't panic again. Just click on the image. You'll be back fine. So I make a selection of that, meaning the Red Mirror demo layer. Yours is just called Red Mirror. I'm going to hit Command or Control H to hide it. Now let's go sample this dark value right there. So in the B key, I hold Alt or Option and sample that dark red. with a brush about this big. Look at, I'm putting it right there. Look at how I am going to start the process of wrapping. Look at, I'm just barely touching. Look at, I'm barely touching the brush to the top of the mirror, right? Barely touching it. I'm going to come around and I'm going to now put more of the brush over there. And look at, it's taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even more, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 little hits on it. Now I'm going to come across the bottom. Look at how I'm doing, and if you make a mistake, Control Z or Command Z back. Look at how I'm coming straight across the bottom with a little bit of that dark. Now do you see how slow I'm painting? There's no reason to paint faster. Now look at how I did. I actually have, and I'm clicking it on and off, that nice dark area. Okay, let's actually, when we do this upper layer right over here, when we do this part, which again, I'm showing you this part right there, we're going to do that right now. And I'm also going to use that layer for the little white dot, which I didn't do on the file. I didn't do that on this Brian Muir folder. You can, because it's part of the image, and I should have. So I made, I just didn't do it. I don't know why. Anyway, let's go find that little section right there and see how we can paint this. So I'm going to experiment here. Let's go to this one. No. To this one. No. Well, how do I paint that? That's going to be very hard. Oh, I do have it. It's right there. It's the black one. All right, I'm going to turn on the clicky copy because I want to show you a little trick. Okay, watch this. All right, we're going to make this one. I'm going to explain it to you first. I want to paint between here and here, correct? That's what I want to do, paint between here and here. So how do I do that? Well, maybe I could make a selection of this, and maybe I could inverse it. But how does that stop the value from going over from this point to the left? Oh, I know how I can do this. I can make it into a selection. Look at that. I can go to Select, Modify, Expand, and I can actually expand that selection by some pixels. Well, first let's see how many pixels. It might take me 2 or 3 times. Okay, I'm going to try 25 pixels just for the heck of it. And, oh, that was way too much. But you see how that told me kind of how much to do? It's probably going to be like 8 or 10 pixels. So I'm going to Control Z or Command Z back. We're going to go back into the same thing. This is very cool. Expanding a selection. I'll go 10 pixels and see if it takes me right to that edge. It's more like 8 pixels. Yes, I'm being picky here. So Command or Control Z back. Go back into the modification and expand it by 8 pixels, Mr. Sorial. Now I have it. Wasn't that cool? Well, how do I use it? I go to Select and Save Selection. And I'm going to say, I'm going to say something. I'm going to say, oh yeah, whole mirror expanded. Okay, that's good. And I'll go _demo so I know. Now, why am I doing this? Well, at the bottom of my channel palette, there it is. So I could literally, let me deselect. Watch this. I could make a selection of this one, right? Go back into the path palette, click on this mirror, which is the one on the right-hand side of it, right? And go Command, Option, or Control, Alt, subtract it. Now, do you see how I now can paint that gray between here and here? But Brian, how are you going to paint it? It's like you're going to give it a hard edge? And the answer is yes, and I'm going to use a layer mask to fix it. So I have to go make sure, look what layer I'm on the wrong layer. So I click up to the layer that I need to be on. I'm going to hit the B key, and this is going to be pretty easy, and sample that color, the brightest color that there is. Now I'm going to close this right here so I can see what I'm doing, all right? And I'm going to hit Command or Control H. Now that hides it. Now I'm going to smack it in there really good. Okay, isn't that gorgeous? Answer no, but it's exactly what I want. So this is what I want you to do. Do you see how bad that looks? This is what it's supposed to look like. That's how bad it looks. But now let's make it work. Okay, so let's deselect. Let me back off so I can see the mirror up here. See how I can see both of them? Okay, cool. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur by, oh my gosh, by 3 pixels. Oh my gosh, look at how that worked. Oh my gosh. Do you see how that worked? Let me cancel that. And now let me get close and show you. I took something that was really yucky or harsh, and I'm going to make it beautiful. Wow. Now, if I make sure I'm deselected, which of course I knew I was, I'm going to click on the layer mask. Now I'm going to turn on the clicky copy again, and do you see how it gets cut off right there? So this is what I want you to do. This is going to be a little bit hard to understand, but I'm going to show you. What color takes away paint on a mask? Yes, it's black. So if I make my brush really small, I'm going to ask you a question. Look over here in the layer palette. I'm selected on the mask, right? So when I paint black, I'm going to be painting on the mask and removing the color, correct? But what if I leave the clicky copy on? So it shows me where to remove it. I'm still painting on the layer mask, so do you see how I'm taking black that I can't even see how it's working, and I'm painting right across this top? Look what I did. I actually cut it off exactly where it was supposed to be cut off, right? Right there. And now if I turn on the clicky copy, you can see that I need to kind of thin down this. So look, I'm taking black and I'm just going to thin this down a little bit and kind of remove that value. Now do you see how slow I'm painting? Now look, there's my shine. Now if I want to make it slightly brighter, I hit the X key, and I paint a little bit of white back over the black to make that little section right there somewhat brighter. Because you remember I started with the bright color. You see how I did that? Now that's beautiful. That would have been hard. Okay, since we're working on this, and before I put that little white dot, let's go see what this gray line is all about. Okay, no big deal. Let's go turn off mine, the one I was working on. Let's go turn on the professor's. Let's now turn on this layer, and this layer. Now let's examine what's happening here. So I'm going to go down as small as I can make that with still having you see everything. I'm going to move up my layer palette so I can show you this. And I'm going to move up like this. Do you see how I'm doing that? Okay, now I have those 3 layers here, here, and here. So first let's do the line. So this one is called, I need to move this over so I can see the whole name, so you can see the whole name. Okay, upper gray highlight 1, and this one is called upper gray highlight 2. Oh, one just gets brighter. So now you should pretty much have an idea of how to do it, but I'm going to show you. Okay, so now we have to locate that. We have to find out where that is. So I'm going to turn off Brian's. I kind of know what to do now. All right, let's turn on mine. Let me make this layer palette bigger again. Let's turn on the one I'm working on. Let's find those layers. Oh, there they are. This is the darker line. This is the brighter line. So let's click to the image part of the darker line. Now let's turn on the clicky copy. See how I'm doing that? Okay, now I see exactly where it is. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to make this smaller. I'm going to leave it right here. So I'm going to examine where that is. And it is, oh, it's right there. Do you see how I have this line right there? Oh, I have it on the upper. Well, what good is that going to do me there? Let me click this one. Nope. It's this one. Oh, I have to now do something, don't I? Okay, this is what I'm going to do. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to take the mirror black upper path and make it into a selection, so Command or Control click it. Now, I'm going to let you know something. If you're in the B key or the M key for marquee, the cursor keys actually move a selection. But if you are in the Move tool, the cursor keys would move an image. In the B key for brush or the M key for marquee, the cursor keys move selections. Why did they do that? Well, watch this. If I move this selection by hitting the B key and I move it down, all right, Photoshop did something. I'm gonna at this point tell you that the B key didn't move the selection. It did in the last version. So I want you to click to the M key for marquee. Okay. I want you to move it to the lower part of that line. Do you see how I did that? Because I want you to learn how to take one path and make it into two things. Now let's save this selection. So let's go, what is the name of my layer? It is, I'm sorry, upper gray highlight 1. So I'm going to double click that and hit Command or Control C so I can rename this. Okay, so let me go back like that. Okay, now let's save the selection. And let me go Command V and put in here underscore moved. Because I moved it, right? Okay, cool. Now, what do? Okay, I have one here, and I'm going to click on the one that I had up here, which is right, now I forgot where it was. I'm sorry. Okay, I forgot where it was. It has to be that. There, it's that one. So it's the mirror black upper. Now I want you to see, I want to hit the Tab key so you can see something. Do you see how I have a path which is exactly above the selection? So what is the process here? Well, the process is, Brian, all you have to do is subtract it. So if I subtract this path from this selection, it'll work. So let me Command or Control D to turn everything off, hit the Tab key to put this back on, repeat our process. So I go down here and I Command or Control click that one to now have it be active. It's on the lower part. Now just follow me. It's not hard. It's confusing, but it's not hard. Now I'm going to Command Option subtract this one, hopefully it works, or Control Option Alt. Control Alt subtract it, and look what I got. I actually got that little line that was between them right there. Now, all I have to do is save this. So I'm going to save it now so I don't have to do it again. And I'll save it as line 1. You can save it as anything you want, but I'm going to save it as line 1 because I have to do something with you. Okay. I'm going to hit Command or Control H to temporarily hide it. All right. Hit the B key. Move into the clicky copy and sample that color. Now I did. I sampled that color right there. That's the bottom color. You see how it gets brighter over here? All right, so this is what I want you to see. I am going to click the foreground color and brighten that up a little bit. Just a little bit, not a lot, just a little. Okay, now I'm turning off the clicky copy and I'm making a big point here. Am I on the right layer? Answer yes. Am I on the image part of the layer? Yes. So all I have to do is take my paintbrush, make it big, okay? Look at my reference right there. I'll even go smaller so you can see the whole reference. Let me skinny this down a little bit. I don't want to get rid of the layer palette for you, but I want to do this the correct way. Okay, so do you see where it is? I am going to just fill this up with color, and it's going to be harsh. Too harsh. Way too harsh. Okay, that's cool. Oh, you're going to Gaussian blur it, Brian, and then you're going to put a layer mask on it so you can eliminate paint. Oh, I get it. Okay, that's not bad. That's a good idea. Okay, so now before I do that, let's do them both at the same time. I'm turning this one off. I'm clicking to, I have to see what this is about here. Oh yeah, okay. All right, I'm clicking to the upper layer. Now I want to do the bright spot, but I want to zoom in and show you. Do you remember how I had Command or Control H on? Okay, I'm going to hit Command H or Control H to turn it back on. But I don't want the brighter color to be the same width. So what do I do to shrink this? Well, you go to Select, Modify, Contract. Now I'm going to experiment. I'm going to try 2 pixels. And look what I get. See how beautiful that was? Now, I click, right? Make it brighter, because you have a layer mask capability that can eliminate paint, right? Okay. Now I'm going to hit Command or Control H, and I'm going to look at the reference. Oh, it's brighter as it wraps around the right side. So I'm going to paint this brighter as it wraps around. But Brian, you're going way too bright. I'm saying, no, I'm not. And look, Brian, you made a mess over here. I'm going to say, who cares? Because we have layer masks. So let me turn off that image. Let's deselect. Let's click to the lower one and make sure you're on the lower one. Now, I'll bring them both on screen. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur by maybe 2 pixels, right there. 2.3 pixels. Oh, that's so pretty. Click. Okay, now, if I had to eliminate any paint, and I do, there's some right there. You see it right there? We are going to click to the layer mask, right? Paint with what color? See, I have white in the foreground color. I have to hit the X key. And now I'm going to actually paint right there with black. And look at black cleaned that up beautifully. Okay, well, that was pretty easy. Let's turn on the upper layer. Okay, I'm going to use Gaussian blur. What do I click on to Gaussian blur? Well, Brian, you have to click on the image. Oh, well, that makes sense. Filter, blur, and there's no selection active, right? I'm even going to check. Command H, Command H, Command H, Control H, Control H. Okay, there was no selection. I'm going to Control D or Command D for the 10th time. And I'm making sure I'm on the layer, filter, blur, Gaussian blur again, because it might be a different number. So I'm going to take that down to maybe 2 pixels. Now, how do I get rid of the overspray? You tell me how. Oh, you're telling me to click to the layer mask, right? Make the brush smaller. Paint in what color? What color? Oh, black? Oh, okay, I can paint black right on that, and look at how pretty I clean that up. Well, that's kind of neat, but Brian, you kind of took away the shine as it goes around the edge. Look at, Brian, you're taking off too much. Oh, Brian. So how do you fix it? Well, you hit the X key, make your brush smaller, and you see how you can put it right back on. So that's called, and I want you to repeat this after me, non-destructive painting. Meaning if I used an eraser, could I get it back other than, what if I used an eraser and then closed the file so there's no Command Z or Control Z to go back to? If you did it on a layer mask, it wouldn't matter because you could always paint white or black on the layer mask. Now, do you see how my white shine is too bright? You have 2 options. You can lower the opacity on it like this. You see how I'm lowering the opacity to about a perfect nature? Look at how pretty that is. In fact, I think mine looks almost as pretty as, even prettier than the other mirror that's above there. Now let's do that little bright shine. Oh, I know what I needed to do. I actually have a little bit of a brighter value right here, which I made a layer for right there. You see what I'm clicking on? And I'll show you on, I'm going to take the time to do this. I'm turning off the student mirror. I'm going down. Let me make my layer palette bigger again. I'm turning back on the professor's one. I'm going to zoom in right over here. and I'm going to turn on that layer. So there's the layer that I have. Do you see that little bit of brightness? I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but I'm going to turn it off and on. Do you see how that's turning off and on? Okay, so I'm going to take the B key and sample the same color that's in here, which was that same color right there. Okay, so now I have the color. So what do I do? So let's turn off Brian's. Cool. Turn on mine. All right, now all I have to do is put a little bit of that gray color there. The answer here is I don't even need a selection. I mean, I can just freehand this. So I'm making sure that I'm under the red layer, right? There's the red layer. Well, here's the layer I want to be on, so I can't damage the red. Is that correct? So now if I just take my paintbrush and I just color this a little bit, what if I go way too far? Don't you think that's too much right there? Answer. Click, opacity, back, and look at how you have it beautiful. Okay, I'll even put a little bit more over here. Now, there it is. And that's how you do it. That's how you paint. Okay, now let's do that little white shine. So I told you that I would use the same layer. Let me turn off, or I was going to say turn off the clicky copy. It's not even on. But I need the clicky copy on to locate that little color. So I'm going to zoom in. Now watch how simple this is. I'm going to take the B key, hold Alt or Option, sample the color, and because I can deal with opacity, I'm going to brighten my color a little bit. Just a bit, about that much right there. Now I want to explain what I'm going to do for you. Are you on the right layer, Brian? Notice how I always ask myself that. I'm going to say yes. Is the clicky copy on? Yes, so I can locate where that is. So I make my brush smaller, and I'm going to just go like this. Now I can't even see the impact of what I'm doing. The clicky copy is on, but I'm selected onto the layer I want the paint to go on. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let me turn that off. And I see the start of it. Do you see it? It's right there. See how it's on that layer? Let me now do it again. 5, 6. Now, let's make it really small. And let's go, watch how many clicks. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And look what you have. So I use the clicky copy to position my shine, right? Now what if other stuff was on the layer and you say to yourself, but Brian, you kind of have it too bright. You can't just use opacity because there's other stuff on the layer. Oh, but Brian, you have a layer mask. Cool. So why don't you just make the brush bigger, paint in what color? Oh, yeah, black. So I have to hit the X key and just throw, let me get close, throw a little bit of black over that, a couple of clicks, and now I've reduced it. Look at how pretty. And that, my friends, is your assignment. Now, I want to show you something before you leave here, okay? What if, and I'm going to put a layer below this, I want to show you how to clean up artwork. What if when you did the black, whoops, I missed it. What if when you clicked the black like this, and I just Command or Control clicked on that to turn the layer into a selection. I want to fill it up with black again because I want to show you something. Okay, so I'm going to hit the B key, click the black, and fill it. Now you aren't even going to see it. So it's Alt Backspace or Option Delete. Okay, so I've filled it up. All right, now I'm going to deselect. Now I want to Gaussian blur this. So I'm going to turn off this one. I want to Gaussian blur this by a bunch because I want you to see something that's very important. So I'm going to blur it and have it be, whoops, sorry. Sorry. So let me make it like a lot blurred. Okay. Some of you have been turning in, or some of my students, turn in files and have all this messy left over on the right. Well, how do you get rid of it? I mean, how do you even know what layer it's on? I'll show you. So if you hit the V key, what does that stand for? Yes, the move tool. If you right hand, I am going to deselect right now. I forgot to deselect. So deselect, Brian. I'm going to right hand click, and do you see how it takes me right to layer 21, which is the layer I just painted on? Oh, that's cool. So if I was even in a folder, let me actually close your folder. Let me close Brian's folder. Now watch this. If I right hand click, it'll take me right to that layer and open up the folder and take me right to the layer. Oh, well, that was convenient. I can turn it off and on and see, oh, there's your messy. So now I'm going to add a layer mask. Now, what is the solution? You should know it now. So I make a selection of the entire mirror, right? I do what? What's that word? Inverse. Now, I'll hit Command or Control H, even though I don't have to. Hit the B key. Paint in black, because I'm painting on the outside. Brian, are you selected on the layer mask? Yes. And now look at how I can clean up my outside. So any overspray that you get beyond the outside of a shape, just inverse the shape, use a layer mask, paint black on it, and you're done. Now that's how I want you to do this file. I want you to make sure you've saved as with your name, and I want you, as best you can, to use my folder as an example, but paint on the student mirror folder and all the layers inside, and on the layer masks, okay? And then turn it into me, all right? Thank you.